One of the other parts of a plant that we want to consider is the seed. The reason why we have seeds is because it allows for plants to go through the process of reproduction, but at a time and environmental conditions that are perfect for them. So when we consider different forms of dispersal for seeds, again, seeds are basically everything that a small baby embryo would actually need in order to develop into a full-blown plant. So they're not going to develop until they reach the right conditions, which is the right temperature, the right nutrients, the right soil conditions, the right amount of water, and the right amount of space. So one way that these seeds can actually be dispersed is by animals. Animals that are furry or have feathers, it actually sticks to their body coverings. A lot of seeds actually can be eaten, and that's one form of plants kind of developing a unique relationship with other mammals, is by generating a fruit, and that fleshy fruit houses those seeds. And then so the animal eats the fruit, the seed goes through the entire digestive tract, while at the same time the animal's living its daily life, moving around town, and then eventually it's going to use the restroom, and so then that seed will get deposited out the digestive tract, and even better, it has fertilizer, right? So this is actually a beneficial thing. Not only that, some animals like our squirrels like to take those seeds, they hide them in different places, and they will actually bury them. And then hopefully some of those seeds will get forgotten about during the winter months, and then they'll start to germinate into brand new plants in the springtime. Now we also use nature in order to disperse their seeds. Ones that, like, if you consider maple trees have the little winged helicopters is what I always called them, but those get carried by wind. If you consider dandelions, there are two parts to the dandelion. There's the one that actually creates that fluffy white ball, and that gets dispersed either by little kids kicking it, or grown adults like Miss Baker kicking it, or also just by the wind blowing it. Water and fire can also assist with dispersal at the same time. So you might be wondering why this even matters, but if you think about a tree, say a oak tree generates a bunch of seeds, you don't want all those seeds trying to grow at the base of the tree. Number one, there's not enough space, there's not enough nutrients, and so not all those seeds are going to end up germinating. They're going to end up rotting and then eventually decaying and being eaten basically by a fungus. So we have a couple different types of seeds. We have monocot seeds and dicot seeds. You're going to see a little bit more about that difference in the dissection video that you're going to watch. But again, the main thing is that under the proper conditions, you're going to actually see the maturation and the creation of a full-blown plant. So again, really nice thing about seed dispersal. This is a way that plants have increased their fitness level. Hopefully you remember that idea of a fitness level from biology. So basically it's how successful they are at reproducing and then propagating their genetic information. So I know us as animals, technically, our life goal is not to reproduce and pass on our genes. Some people, maybe it is their life goal, but for the most part, when you look at organisms in nature, that is their life goal. Their goal is to be able to reach sexual maturity, to reproduce, and then pass on those traits. There are some animals and some plants that when they go through that reproductive process, after they reproduce, they end up dying. So it's kind of crazy to see sort of the differences between nature and then even considering us as a human being in that animal kingdom are a little bit different. So good thing is because we're able to disperse all those seeds to a wide variety of areas. Most flowering plants use animals to help carry seeds so that pollen actually gets stuck to insects' body. And as they go from plant to plant to plant, this allows for sexual reproduction. So you actually see more genetic variations, which is also a really beneficial thing. Again, the fruit, the fleshy tasting fruit that actually entices animals. You'll notice that a lot of fruits are red or orange because that is more attractive to animals. And then again, inside would be the seeds, and this would get dispersed after they go to the bathroom. The outside part of the actual plant tends to get a little bit softer, and then the sugar content can actually increase, and they can become more fragrant and attractive to other organisms. So again, increasing the chance that they get spread to a different area. So again, this is a really good thing. Now, not only that, we do see some plants or some trees that produce seeds as a way of protecting themselves against being eaten and being harmed by other animals. So if you consider the coffee tree, those coffee beans that are actually produced are a way to actually save the tree itself. So that coffee bean is what's attractive to these organisms. When they consume them, number one, they feel fuller, and number two, they also have to go to the bathroom. So typically they leave before they can cause too much damage to the actual plant. Typically, as they consume that fleshy fruit, that seed coat does prevent the digestion of the seed. Sometimes the hard outer covering does get broken down and actually is exposing the seed after it processes through the entire digestive tract. That's actually a good thing because sometimes that outer coat needs to be broken by mechanical or chemical means in order for it to then further germinate after it's been going through the entire GI tract. So here you can actually see that this is blue jay scat that contains a bunch of different seeds as well as other things within that. So that's actually kind of cool. So again, not only is it going to be the seeds that get dispersed, but it also gets dispersed with a nice little fertilizer packet that gives it a lot of the nutrients that it needs from the get-go. So again, red is a really common color. So colored insects can't really see very well. So a lot of the seeds are saved for larger organisms. So that red fleshiness is more attractive to our larger animals that are going to travel greater distances rather than small insects. Avocados, if you have an opportunity, watch this video. It's pretty funny because it talks about avocados as a whole and how they have to be consumed. And during the time when avocados were coming to dominance, their organism that dispersed them were the dinosaurs. So without dinosaurs, once those went extinct, in theory, avocados should also go extinct because no longer is there somebody consuming it and dispersing it across a large area. So it's interesting to see how not only animals have a tie to plants, but plants also have that tie to the animals as well. So again, they can get sucked to their to their fur, etc. Animals do bury a lot of seeds. So again, squirrels are a big one. You'll see them burying stuff in your backyard all the time. As those acorns get planted, again, sometimes they forget and then they sprout in the spring as a new little seedling. Ginkgo biloba, their seed actually produces what's called butyric acid. So that seed right there smells, and it is a rotten smell. And for some reason, it's attractive to animals. And so they'll actually consume that and then again, continue to move and deposit it elsewhere. Ginkgo biloba also came to age during the time of the dinosaurs. So once the dinosaurs went extinct, that entire species basically disappeared off the face of the planet. Except English explorers found Ginkgo biloba in one small Chinese monastery. And then ever since then, Ginkgo biloba, they've been repopulating it across the world. You might notice a lot of targets have Ginkgo biloba trees, but they tend to only have the type of a tree that's not going to produce the seed. They'll just have the male tree. It is called biloba because the leaf has two lobes. That's where the biloba comes from. Ginkgos are my favorite tree, in case you're curious. So if you take a look at this picture, this is actually a milkweed seed. So if you see, they have that nice fluffy hairy portion to the actual seed. The seeds are typically very, very light. That assists with the wind blowing it. It can travel a great distance. Milkweed, you probably know milkweed because that helps. It is food for monarchs. Again, here's our dandelion. Each of those have hundreds and hundreds of seeds on them. Again, if you make a wish and blow the actual dandelion, you are going to see it get dispersed, and then you generate more yellow dandelions that your parents probably get really mad about. I tend to kick all of them because I think it's fun, but I guess maybe you shouldn't make wishes with those. Again, some plants have seeds within that actually have kites or propellers assisted with it. So maple trees, you would see those. Those, if you throw them up in the air and then let them fall, they kind of spin, spin, spin as they come to the ground. Here's tumbleweed. Again, that one gets blown all the way across roads and seeds, and it's going to disperse those seeds as it continues to tumble. We know pine cones. Pine cones have seeds in them, but those actually get released with the advent of heat. And then those seeds can actually travel with the assistance of wind. So some do require fire in order to open up, but not all. So again, that kind of helps break dormancy, so those seeds kind of get activated with the fire. Water dispersal, think about something like coconuts, right? Coconuts get dispersed by water. They are buoyant and they move, which is really, really cool. Again, most of that seed is going to have additional nutrients packed within to allow for that offspring, that tiny embryo, to survive until it finds those right conditions. So again, here is some more water dispersal for you. Again, key is that it has to be buoyant. You don't want it to sink to the bottom. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to grow in a sandy type condition. It's going to need actual soil and nutrients. Some seeds do pop and actually kind of shoot out their seeds, which is kind of cool. Touch-me-nots do that as well, because if you touch them and you kind of disturb them, they can rupture and they can go psh and project their seeds over many feet. Here's burrs on somebody's shoes. So again, those can get stuck to humans. We technically are animals as well, so they could get stuck there. And then as we walk, we are going to go ahead and lose some of them as well. Funny video for you to watch. I know a couple of the students and I were talking about this over what is a nut versus what is a seed. So when you look at the botanical definition versus the culinary definition, they're two very different things. So check out that video. It's pretty funny. So again, last final thing, just kind of something funny to talk about. Just if you swallow a seed, would it germinate? Remember, no, because that's not the right conditions in order for our body to actually grow it. So I don't know where that idea that if you swallow one of the black watermelon seeds that you're going to grow a watermelon in your stomach came from. But it's pretty funny because your body will still break it down and then it'll get released out through your bodily waste. So it's kind of funny. But all right, you guys have a seed activity. You're going to be watching a seed dissection while also going through and looking at different examples of seeds and trying to identify how their seeds actually get dispersed. Is it dispersed by wind, animal, water, and just kind of guess from there. I want you to look at the size of the seed, the shape of the seed. Do they have any added propellers or that fluffiness to assist with water or wind dispersal? So take a look at those. And then once you are done, please turn it on in. Thanks. Have a great one.